All right, man. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Um, so it's been almost 3 years since we sat down for the first interview we did for the documentary.
Yeah.
Bit over 2.5 years since the first gala the Luke Cyr Foundation did. About a year and a half since the documentary came out. I think we'll just start with, for people who maybe haven't seen the documentary, who you are and what your foundation does.
I'm Luke Cyr. I am the founder, president, CEO of the Luke Cyr Foundation. My goal in life now is everything to do about my foundation, because what our foundation does, it does everything it can to help military veterans and first responders who have been sucked into the darkness, help them, bring them back so they can embrace the light. They have given so much, their own safety, for our own freedom, our security, our safety. They've given a lot. And sometimes I felt that at times your job's over and there's nothing left for you. Well, what they have sacrificed, what I have sacrificed, and they deserve a better life. So I'm going to commit my life, every step I take, and going forward, is to doing everything I can to help those who have retreated to the darkness chance and giving them a chance to embrace the light.
So the two organizations you do help to the foundation, maybe just give a little description of those.
So as we started off, all our donations and stuff had gone to the Robbie Dean Center and to Caddy School for Soldiers. Both huge. Only reason I'm still here today. Both were very instrumental in saving my life. But as the foundation has grown, we've given. We have scholarships. We have other programs that we'll be putting in place, and for the foundation. We're moving from a hat in hand approach to more a hands-on approach to helping people struggling with mental health. But both those organizations are still saving lives. We were able to give Monique this money this last time around to the tune of $40,000 this year, to which she said $20,000 would fund the programs for an entire year for 150 people. So that's 2 years of funding for 150 people. So what we're doing is saving lives. And the Caddy School, the graduates that have come off the school, the programs are growing. They're running more sessions, and you're saving people's lives, giving them a second chance. And caddies coming off that course are active caddies, finding a purpose, moving on. And there's so many success stories that have come from it, and it keeps me moving forward 100%.
So when we sat down last, almost 3 years ago, the foundation was really in its kind of first steps. Like we got on film the first gala that we held here in Sault Ste. Marie, and the year after, in 2024, you were able to raise $20,000 for the Robbie Dean Center and the Caddy School for Soldiers. This year, as long as I have my facts right, you're able to raise $50,000.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess, how does it feel to have this kind of momentum where you're, more than doubling the amount of donations you're able to provide in a single year?
Yeah, it's great. I remember when I first got started and I told both organizations, I don't care if I have to take this money out of my savings account. I'm going to get you $5,000. I don't care. In this first year, I'm going to get you $5,000 each. I don't care if I'm taking it out of my own savings. And the support I've gotten from everybody else, I never really thought it would get this big. And we were able to give $12,500 to each of them that first year. In the second year, we were able to give them $17,500 each. And to the Robbie Dean Center this year, who received $40,000, and the Caddy School received $20,000. But there's an offshoot of the Caddy School that's going to be run out of Cabot in the summer that funds are going towards helping veterans, helping Caddy School for Soldier graduates, helping first responders. The things that we have planned for the Reborn initiative, the next stage of the road to resilience, is saving lives. And for me to see it grow this big, I never thought it would. That's why before we launched the Road to Resilience initiative here in 2025, I had momentum, and I said I have to capitalize on this momentum. And that's why when we launched the Road to Resilience initiative and all the things that would coincide with it, I thought it was might as well. Like there's people who are getting behind this. This is what we're doing. It's a great job. We're saving lives. To hear go on our socials and to see people's firsthand uh, speaking to me on how their lives have been saved and impacted by what we do. I'm telling you one thing, that's going to motivate you. It's going to light a fire under you, and it's going to not make you want to quit. And that's where we're going with this foundation. We have the momentum, so let's not stop. Let's save as many lives as we can along the way.
Yeah, and speaking about the road to resilience, can you tell people a little bit about, exactly what that initiative was and how you went about that and what it took for you to get that done?
Yeah, so when we started the Road to Resilience initiative, first of all, we set up a meeting with Cabot and seen if it was okay. Our big initiative was, one of the things was I was donating every dollar I earned caddying to the foundation this year, because those two programs that I was donating to and this foundation saved my life. So if I gave 1 year's worth of wages to this foundation and saved one person's life, you don't understand the ripple effects of a saved life. Standing before you is a ripple effect of a saved life. So if I could save one more person's life, and 1 becomes 2, and 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, and 8 becomes 16, and so on and so on and so on. It's a ripple effect that cannot be stopped. So when we launched it, that was my main goal. Things were added on where I was attempting to keep me going, to raise as much money as I could on the golf course. I set up an initiative where I was going to attempt to walk from Inverness, Nova Scotia to Sault Ste. Marie, which was a distance of 2,409 kilometers, but I was being tracked while I was on the golf course. So when I stepped off the first tee, we started tracking me. When I stepped off the 18th green, the tracker stopped. I was able to get to just under 2,500 kilometers to a tune of over 210 loops, and a loop is 18 holes of golf. And that was over a 165-day period. We were able to accomplish that. So Cabot has been behind me. They've supported me. They're my family. When I actually had made it to Sault Ste. Marie, that loop I made it to Sault Ste. Marie, the entire staff from Cabot were waiting by the green to walk on and congratulate me off the first tee. It's just an unbelievable feeling when you have that support, you have that family, you have that network. We also launched a hashtag Carry the Bag. And hashtag Carry the Bag, which we launched on July 1st, along with Bags Without Barriers, a group out of Toronto, an unbelievable group who raises money to give backpacks for undeserved children in the Toronto and Northern New York area. And we worked together to get this initiative across, because hashtag Carry the Bag was basically somebody on social media who letting somebody else know that they weren't alone. So I'd get on video and I'd say, today I'm walking for my brother, Sean Cyr. My brother, Sean Cyr, is a police officer in Sault Ste. Marie who struggles with PTSD. But I wanted my brother, Sean Cyr, to know that today, all his struggles, he wasn't going to carry that burden alone. I was going to help him carry that weight with me. And at the end of that, I would challenge 2 other people to carry the bag for somebody else. And we hoped it spiraled. And we finished on Labor Day weekend. And it was unbelievable, the amount of support we got from people and the people who were getting behind it. People were even talking about it. I didn't even tell about it, and they were just behind us 100%. It was such a remarkable feat, because if you think about, if you're sitting there alone, you're in the dark, and you're just sitting on Facebook and you have nothing, when you see somebody saying, you're not alone today, I'm going to help you carry that weight, it's going to light a fire under you. It's going to let you know you're not alone. Because the worst thing about sitting alone in the darkness is knowing you're alone, or being comfortable when you're alone. And I wanted to take that and let people know that they weren't alone. So that's why we launched hashtag Carry the Bag, which will continue on during our Reborn initiative on the next phase of the Road to Resilience in 2026.
Absolutely. So I think before we get into the Reborn initiative, I noticed on your social media, I think it was the last day of the Road to Resilience, you had your brothers out there walking with you. So I know they've been helping you with the foundation this whole time. I was lucky enough to speak to all of them at the first gala for the documentary, and they were great to talk to. Really opened up about everything they had been through, everything they had watched you go through. How did it feel to have them with you, not only helping you out on this journey, but literally walking with you, to complete this initiative?
When I first approached Cabot to see if for those final 2 loops, if I could have my family there with me, they threw out the red carpet and they supported us 100%. What they did for me was absolutely unbelievable. Dear friend of mine, Jill McCutcheon, she owns a villa in Cabot, and she even offered up her villa so my family could stay there for free. I didn't even have to find them lodging. And for them to come to the #1 golf course in Canada and be able to play that, first of all, it was a dream come true for them. And for them to be with me on those final loops, I'm walking with family. The family that supported me this whole way was absolutely unreal. It was so great. I was able to interview each of them on that final day. It was my dad, my brother Josh, my brother Sean, and my brother Matthew. And I was able to interview them and what their thoughts were on the road to resilience. And without me getting emotional right now, on how proud they were of me. And my father had said something on that 18th hole, and if you can see it in the little video, he called me his hero. And that's just so remarkable. And he was blown away about how far I walked, and I wasn't going to give up. But the main thing for me to prove to both my mother and my father was that I would never give up again. I quit on them on October 30th, 2021. I gave up. Thank God I failed. Thank God I failed, but I wanted to prove to them that I would never give up again and I would never quit, no matter how much it hurt. And I'm telling you right now, if you try and walk 2,500 kilometers in 165 days just on a golf course, your body's going to hurt a little bit. Oh, by the way, you're carrying a bag too. But to have them there to walk with me, and it was so remarkable. I don't know if there's video of it or whatever, but all of us had held on to the flag on 18, and we had planted it just like Neil Armstrong did on the moon, but all of us together as a family. Hugs, tears, and then we had left from the green, walked over to the cliff, and I made a statement. A dear friend of mine, Scott Fernelli, we seen him in the last documentary, who was stolen from this world. He was killed in a theater of operation. He was stolen. What I tried to do was steal myself from my family. So we throw quarters for Scotty all the time. And everybody had a handful of quarters, and we had thrown them over the cliff, hoping, like making a wish, hoping that nobody ever is selfish enough to try and steal themselves from their loved ones. And it was such an unbelievable moment. And to have them there, I still remember my brother Josh trying to putt out, and he had to walk away from his putt because he was crying. I said, "Come on, Josh, let's finish up. We got to get to a dinner." But no, it was such a remarkable and amazing feeling to have not only my loved ones are with me, my family here, my aunts and uncles, they were all there. The Cabot staff were there, and it was such a great feeling that you, not only because you're there with your family and friends, the support, because they were proud. They were like, "I want to be here for that moment after you completed this task, because I didn't quit and I never gave up."
Yeah, so I guess going from, October 30th, 2021 to now, and everything you're doing, that's a bit of a rebirth, right? So I guess to go into the Reborn initiative, talk a little bit about that and just let people know, what are you planning for 2026 with it?
So in the Reborn initiative, we wanted to launch, we wanted to ride the momentum of the Road to Resilience initiative. But to date, it's become a lot of hat in hand, or hat in hand approach to let's throw money at this, let's throw money at the mental health problem, throw money at these organizations, let them figure it out. Well, what about the Luke Cyr Foundation, where we could do more? So the Reborn initiative, we're going to transition to a more of a hands-on approach, actually doing things more, not looking for money, but using our influence and using the people who are involved or who do support us to assist us in getting our hands dirty and helping people, like reaching down in the darkness if we have to, one by one, leaving no stone unturned, and pulling those out of the darkness and bringing them back to the light. It's going to be unbelievable. It starts off actually this December at No One Eats Alone on Christmas Day. I don't celebrate Christmas. I haven't in a long time, but what I do on the Christmas side of things is I've been always buying gifts for people working that day. In Sault Ste. Marie. I did the police force here. In Inverness, the first year, I went to the hospital and gave gifts to all the people working at the hospital that day. Last year, I went to the long-term care where my mother made these beautiful Christmas balls that I could give out gifts. Well, I'm running out organizations in Cabot who are going to be working in Cape Breton that day, who are going to be working that day. So my girlfriend Tanya and I have decided that no one will eat alone on Christmas Day. So we've rented out the Legion, branch 135 in Inverness. And what we're going to be doing is holding a luncheon. And for anybody who doesn't have anybody or is alone, they can come and gather as a community. But what I'm also doing is putting together a community basket that we're going to be having a draw and giving away, plus a PlayStation 5 that I bought personally as a donation, which is to entice the children in that town. We have to go fill out a ballot. Their parents are going to have to come to the Legion, and I'm going to bring the whole community together so people aren't alone on Christmas Day. Because as joyous as that day is for people, you have to realize there's, on the other side of the coin, some people dread it. Some people don't like it. It's a hard day for people. And I don't want that in our community. I want to bring our community together in Inverness. And I definitely don't want anybody ever to be alone on Christmas Day. Then another initiative that we're in the works of doing is called Helping Our Heroes. I'm going to be working with a lot of people on the island of Cape Breton, where we're going to be taking in clothing, furniture, houseware, appliances. And we're going to gather that stuff all winter long. And in April, where we'll be starting it up at the tree nursery there. We're going to be inviting all military veterans, first responders, widows, widowers, and their children, and they will be able to come to that event, take whatever they want for free, and they'll be able to take that away, and then whatever's left, we're going to be donating to an organization called Mill Road, and Mill Road sells those items to help raise money for the mentally challenged in town. So I think it's going to be a great collaboration, and we'll be working on that when I get back to Inverness there in a couple weeks.
And I saw, you have, on top of everything you're already doing, you have another one that I wanted to talk about. I saw one of the recipients of the Scholarship of Hope. I was actually from my old high school, Superior Heights. So talk about the Scholarship of Hope and what you're doing with that.
So with the Scholarship of Hope, we've set aside funds yearly. This year we went with 2 award winners, one here in Sault Ste. Marie and one in Inverness County. We want to expand that to 3 next year, and always have funds set aside for that scholarship. And to qualify for that scholarship, you have to be getting into a field that requires something to do with mental health. So if you're going to be coming into social work, psychology, psychiatrist, those occupations, you'll be able to apply for these funds. And we've also added nursing to that because our first responders, if you're getting into those trades, we want to be able to assist you in what you're doing, because what we believe you're doing is God's work, giving up your time, your safety for the health and safety of others. My girlfriend's daughter had actually just graduated, and she's a nurse out of Sydney, and we are so proud of her. Rebecca is just unbelievable for what she wants to do to help other people. It just brings a tear to your eye.
So, I guess a recurring theme in the documentary was the brotherhood. You talked about, it's a core component of life in the military, and even after you're out, that brotherhood doesn't go anywhere. It stays, for the rest of your life. Now it seems like you're continuing that with the foundation, with the addition of Steve Ogilvie. I guess could you just talk about Steve a little bit and your relationship and what he does with the foundation?
Yeah, Steve. So I had met Steve when I first joined the military. We've been friends. Postings I've sent him this way, postings sent him that way. But we've always stayed connected, and we always stayed friends. Steve and I were both really good friends with Scott. And actually, when we were pallbearers for Scott, Steve was directly across from me. We folded the flag together. We lowered Scott in the ground together. Steve has always been there with me. And then when Steve had actually found out that I was on the caddy school for soldiers, Steve was struggling. Steve's story mimics mine. and Steve was going to take his life. And the only thing that stopped him was what I told you about. He realized that Scott was stolen from this world and he wasn't going to steal anybody from this world. Steve has worked tirelessly on his mental health. And Steve is such a remarkable friend. He had been out to Cabot. He is behind the foundation. He's run golf tournaments for the foundation. He does whatever he can to make sure there's the success of the Luke Cyr Foundation, and refuses to stand in the spotlight with me. He just wants to stand in the wings, but he wants to see my success because he's my brother and he loves me. And I love him too. And I think that's why him and I have both flourished as caddies, because in a caddy environment, we call it the yard. And we all take care of each other. When you're out there and there's 4 caddies, you're not just working with your golfer, you're helping each other. Sometimes, you know what I mean, you grab a rake and buddy's busy, you're raking the bunker for him, or you're helping his golf, or you run over. There's a brotherhood there too. So I'm so blessed to move from a military brotherhood into, I guess, a golf brotherhood. And I think that's why Steve and I are both so successful when it comes to caddying. So to have Steve a part of this and going forward, I just pray for his success. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's times when both of us hit snags, but we're both there for each other. And it happened this summer. There's times where Steve was upset and I was there for him to bring him out. There's times when I was upset because what I was doing was difficult. And Steve was there, wake up. You know what I mean? That's what brothers are for. And I owe my life to Steve. And if you asked him, he'd probably say the same thing. So
now that we've talked about the foundation, I did want to talk about Luke Cyr, the person, a little bit. In the documentary, I think, at least the first half was really about your journey growing up all the way to the military, your time in the military afterwards. As we mentioned earlier, the dinner you just held at the Legion here in Sault Ste. Marie on October 30th was the 4th anniversary of your suicide attempt. I think a lot of people would be interested to know, how are you doing? How are you doing today?
If I said I was 100%, I'd be a liar. Because there's times when I do struggle, but there's so many times where I don't. There's so many good days, and the good days eclipse the bad days. There's times when I'm upset and I feel depressed, but I know my way out of it. I lean on my foundation, my family. Because the Luke Cyr Foundation carries my name, but the Luke Cyr Foundation is a family that's united. And even if we're not doing something, I just reach out to anybody there, and we bring each other around. We support each other. And Luke Cyr today is doing remarkable, unbelievable. I wake up every morning and I used to wonder, when's this all going to be over? Now I think of what tomorrow's going to bring. And I dream again. And I'm going to get emotional thinking about that. But I think about, you know what I mean? Well, how am I going to be when I'm 80, 85? I was just talking to my mom this morning, joking around about, you know what I mean? Like wandering around the golf course at 85, not knowing what I'm doing, but still trying to wander around it because I love it so much. Not, I'll make it to 60. You know what I mean? No, I'm thinking about long term and what I can do while I'm here. Luke Cyr is doing remarkable and unbelievable. So, yeah, but there are bad days, but there are a lot more good days than there ever was before.
Stoked to hear that, man. That's amazing. We talked about writing and poetry really being a great outlet for you, and a lot of the B-roll in the documentary was just shots of your poems. Are you still writing today?
I write all the time. It's even funny, we were at my mom's for dinner, so I had my brother, his wife, my 2 nieces, my girlfriend, and my mom there. And I said as a joke, I said, after supper, a little parlor game that we can play, how about someone gives me a topic, tell me a little bit about your topic, give me 15 minutes and I'll write you a poem. So they all tried to stump me. They tried to give me these crazy topics, and I read these poems, and sometimes there was laughter because that's what it was meant. Sometimes there was silence because they were just in awe. I love being able to write. I don't know why I have a gift to write. I don't care why I have a gift to write. I love being able to talk to somebody um, who's struggling to, say they're struggling, or they'll come to me and say, I have a funeral. I don't even know this person from a hole in the ground. But what they're going to do is give me this information. I write a beautiful poem, and it's just to help people and bring comfort, and it helps me as well. So I love writing. I'll never stop writing. So I said, well, as long as I can read and write and do all these things, I'll never stop writing, because even if you're having fun with it, you can have fun with a poem. You can be serious with a poem. You can be emotional with a poem. You know what I mean? You can send love with a poem. You can send laughter with a poem. And these are the things I just love doing. And I'll write a poem for anybody. It brings me joy.
So I think out of all the things we talked about in that couple-hour interview 3 years ago, stories of you growing up, stories of your time overseas, after you got out of the service. I think the story a lot of people found the most striking was when you talked about your Uncle Harold and, your fear of, maybe thinking could become like that one day. And I guess I'm just curious, like, are you still fearful of that?
Not really fearful. I'm mindful of it. I never want to be like that. And it was always in the back of my mind. And one of the greatest things I think anybody could ever tell me, not this gala, the gala before, my niece, when the documentary had come out and she had watched the documentary, and just out of nowhere, she just come over and quietly told me, my niece Hope, and said, don't worry, you're not Uncle Harold. And what that did for me going forward, I'll never forget. I'll never forget. And what Hoper did for me was unreal, because it always sits in the back of your mind, but I'm mindful of it. It's not a fear. It's more, I know, I see the warning signs, I shut it down. I see the warning signs, I go for help. And that's the biggest key.
I think going for help is one of the most important things anyone can do while struggling with mental health. But I think you've also gotten a lot of help along the way, right? There's a lot of great people around you, and I think someone who wasn't in the documentary that's been helping you a lot since then is your girlfriend. So let's talk a bit about her and her relationship and how she helps you out.
Yeah, it's a great story. I love telling this story, and she's gonna hate me for telling this story, but I don't care. I love her to death. I love her to death, and I cannot see my life without her. And I think that's the first time this has ever happened to me in life. But when I first met her, I walk into the Legion in Inverness after a loop, and I'm minding my own business, and having a bud. I look over and I see this beautiful girl sitting in the corner having a drink. Me, shy, minding my own business, not saying nothing, not saying anything, drink my beer, freak out, end up leaving the Legion, kicking myself the whole way for the next couple days. Well, I'm like, maybe she might be down there. A couple nights later, I go back down, and there she is. Me looking over, drinking my beer, minding my own business, still don't have the ambition or to go speak to her. So finally, she comes over with this cell phone. She says, "You new to Cape Breton?" I said, yeah. She says, "Oh my God, you have to see these 10 places." And she showed me these 10 places on her cell phone in Cape Breton, but don't go alone because you get lost. Well, I still haven't seen one of those 10 places. It was a ruse this whole time, but I'm so glad that she had made that move. And maybe one of these days I'll see those 10 places. I don't even remember what they were. I was too busy looking at her. But she's my rock. Especially during the Road to Resilience Initiative, and everybody wants to put Luke Cyr up on a pedestal, this forced pedestal, put me up on a pedestal. Luke Cyr, Luke Cyr, Luke Cyr. Well, I'll tell you the true champion of the Luke Cyr Foundation Road to Resilience Initiative, and it was her. When everybody got to see this guy every morning who's going to go out and walk 30 kilometers and do all these things, and he had all this energy, and he was nice, he was polite, he was this politician. What they didn't get to see is the guy who went home and who got angry, or who got sad, or was in so much pain. I remember getting up one night and it was 2 a.m. and I'd fallen on the floor because my body had seized up. Who jumps out of bed to assist me back to my feet to help pick up this 220-pound man, and she sits at about $110 and still got me up off the floor. She held me when I cried because I was in so much pain. She held me when I thought I wasn't gonna make it. There was times when I didn't think I was gonna make it because of your body starts to shut down. I didn't think I was gonna make it. And she said, yeah, you will. Just get up. You know what I mean? She said, you're going to walk? Walk 2 steps, walk 4, walk 6. Well, you've gone that far. Don't stop. Keep going. She never gave up on me. And she had to take the brunt of all the stuff that the rest of the world didn't get to see. She's the true champion of the Road to Resilience Initiative. And she's my baby. And I cannot wait to be with her for the rest of my life. I was at a dinner and mentioning about that her and I dreamed together. And I said, I can't wait till we're 80 years old. And she's screaming at me and I'm telling her to shut up. I said, that's what we talk about. Like, this is so enjoyable. We dream about this house we're going to be building. We bought a house and we plan on renovating it and selling it and building our dream home together. We talk about this. This is the dreams we have together. She's my baby. I love her to death. And I can't wait to see the rest of my life with her. As you can probably tell by the smile on my face. Is my face red?
A little bit.
All right, yeah.
All right. So before we started this interview, we kind of ran through a lot of the questions just to make sure, my facts were right. And just make sure we had a good layout for everything. I did say I wanted to save the last question kind of for an in the moment, I guess. So I just wanted to show you a video real quick, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll just get you to hold that.
Yeah.
And then you can press play anytime you like, my friend. You might have to turn the volume up on that, actually.
What I do, but I remember this story I was told. There's a guy on a wharf, and he's watching the tide come in. As the tide hits the beach, it's washing hundreds of starfish onto the beach. And he's thinking in his head, how dreadful. They won't last 15 minutes on there before they die. All those starfish are going to die. But he noticed a little kid. He's running around down on the beach, picking up starfish and trying to get them back to the water. But he'd throw 10 in the water, tide come in, washing another 80. The guy watches the kid for a little while and says, I got to go put a stop to this. And he goes down and talks to the little kid. He says, son, stop. And the kid, upset, what is it, sir? Look what you're doing. You bring 10 in, 80 hit the beach. You really think you're making a difference? And the little kid picked up a starfish and threw it in the water, said, I made a difference for that one. And that's the way I've always approached my life and how I'm going to approach the foundation and the website is if I can save one person's life, that's all that matters. No act of kindness, no matter how small, goes unnoticed.
So I think when you watch that, right, at the beginning of the foundation, you were saying, well, if I could just save one,
Yeah.
I think after that clip, you said you could die a poor man, but your soul would be rich if you could just help one person.
Yeah.
But in this, a couple of days ago, with the donation you made to the Robbie Dean Center, you said it yourself earlier, you were able to fund, just from your donation, just from one donation, support 6 support groups that I think will help 300 people total.
In 2 years, yeah.
Yeah. So going from wanting to just save one person to with one donation, potentially saving 300 people just from one donation, not including all the other stuff you're doing.
Yeah.
How does it feel to look back at that and compare it to, what you're doing now and realizing you're doing a lot more than one person?
I look at that and yes, I know the amount of people we're going to save and who we are saving and going to save and how many we will continue to save. But I still will never look big. Big will come. Big will always follow the Luke Cyr Foundation. Big will always happen. But I will never, ever overlook that one person who needs help. I will do whatever I can, no matter what, no matter how big or how small or whatever, or I never turn my back on anybody. I'll never get too vain where I'm too big for anything else. I'll always remember that one starfish that's getting thrown back in the water. And I will never, ever, to the end of time, because you don't want to miss that one person. You don't want to ever go too quickly and lose that one person. Because that one person, you'd have no idea the ripple effects that saved life. Like I told people before, standing in front of you is a ripple effect of a saved life. Luckily, I got lucky. We know how I got lucky. I don't want people to be lucky. I want to get there and help them. So
I guess really, really all that's left to say is there anything you want to say, a message for people out there struggling with their mental health? Anything you want them to know? Any words of encouragement?
what I want people to know who are out there, go to the old documentary, hear my story, see where I was. I was down to absolutely nothing. I had nothing left what I thought. I had no purpose. I had nothing. Look at how I did it. Look at my formula. I have a purpose now. Listen to the stories I'm telling you. There's hope. Don't ever give up. It's not worth giving up without trying. I know I gave up once in my life and I'll never give up again. And if anything, you can use me as motivation. If you can reach out to me, if you're out there too and you know somebody, don't leave them alone. Don't turn your back on them. It could be the biggest mistake of your life. So if you're out there and you need somebody, go on to LukeCyrFoundation.org. Contact us. You will contact us, we contact you back. You want to speak to us, we speak to you. We will not leave you alone. And if you're in the darkness, please come back and let's embrace the lights together.